Ready to dive into some serious personal finance wisdom? We're tackling two absolute classics today. The Simple Path to Wealth by J.L. Collins and Your Money or Your Life by Vicki Robin. They're classics for a reason, right?
Absolutely. They offer such timeless advice. No matter where you are in your financial journey, they've got something for you.
Right. And I think what's interesting is how these books come at it from different angles, almost like two sides of the same coin. The Simple Path to Wealth, that's your practical guide to index fund investing.
Yeah.
Like straightforward, no-nonsense advice.
Yeah.
And then Your Money or Your Life, that one really makes you think about your relationship with money, like how your values and life goals play into it.
It's that connection between values and money decisions. It's
Right.
often overlooked.
Yeah, for sure. And, both books really challenge some of the common ideas we have about building wealth. Like, remember that question, can everyone retire a millionaire? Collins goes right at that in Simple Path.
And his answer is kind of a curveball. He says, yeah, it is mathematically possible, but...
But the odds aren't exactly in everyone's favor, and it's not for the reason you might think. Like he says, it's not about some secret investment strategy. It's more about us, our own behavior,
Exactly. Both Simple Path and Your Money or Your Life, they both stress that building wealth isn't about getting lucky picking stocks or timing the market perfectly. It's about those consistent long-term decisions based on solid principles.
It's about tuning out all that noise.
Yeah.
Which is tough, right? Like the financial news, it's all drama, like watching a daily soap opera about your portfolio.
Yeah, it reminds me of that part in Simple Path where Collins talks about those market commentators. The ones who try to predict how the market will do. It's entertaining, but accurate. Not so much.
Oh, yeah. Remember that story about Louis Rickheiser?
Oh, yeah.
He used to have these experts on his show every year making predictions, and they'd be way off.
It just goes to show drama sells, even in finance. But just like Collins says, those predictions aren't a reliable way to build wealth.
Which is where index fund investing comes in. That's the strategy Collins really gets behind in The Simple Path to Wealth. But before we get into all that, let's switch gears for a second, dive into Your Money or Your Life. Because, figuring out your own relationship with money, that's just as crucial as picking the right investments.
One of the most powerful things in Your Money or Your Life is this whole idea that money, it's like life energy, right? The hours of your life you traded to earn it.
It really makes you think about it differently, doesn't it? It's not just a few bucks. It's literally hours of your life.
Exactly. And they have this 9-step program, right? Designed to help you reach what they call financial integrity. Basically, lining up your money choices with your values and goals. And those first 2 steps, man, those are powerful. Really get your mind right.
Okay, so break it down for me. What are those first 2 steps?
So step 1 is you got to calculate your life-to-date earnings.
Oh, boy.
I know. It might sound kind of boring, but trust me, it's a real eye-opener.
I bet. It's one thing to know how much you make a year, but to add it all up, your whole working life. That puts things in perspective.
Right. You realize just how much time and energy went into earning all that money. Okay. And then step 2, tracking every cent you spend.
Okay, no more guessing games. This is where the rubber meets the road.
Exactly. It's all about awareness. You start seeing those habits you didn't even realize you had. Maybe you're spending way more on takeout than you thought, or those little impulse buys, they add up.
And knowing where your money's going, that's huge, right? Because if you don't know where it's going, how can you change anything?
Yeah.
Your Money or Your Life has this thing, the fulfillment curve, which I thought was really interesting.
Oh, yeah. Such a great visual. It shows how happiness, fulfillment, they're not directly connected to how much money you've got.
It challenges that whole more is better idea, which we hear all the time, right?
For sure. The fulfillment curve basically shows you there's a sweet spot, like a point of enough. You have what you need to be comfortable, have a good life, without being weighed down by having too much.
Which fits right in with the whole idea of financial independence, right? It's not about hitting some magic number in your bank account. It's about the freedom to make choices that match your values.
Right. And sometimes those choices might mean living a simpler life or going for a job that's more fulfilling, even if it doesn't pay as much.
That's what I think is so great about these 2 books together. Your Money or Your Life gets you clear on what matters to you, your priorities. And then The Simple Path to Wealth, that gives you the actual tools to build a strong financial base so you can actually live that life, the one you want. Now, let's loop back to index funds, that core investment strategy Collins is all about. You're going to explain why this is such a good approach, especially for those of us who aren't, day trading experts.
Right. Well, remember we were talking about tuning out the market noise and focusing on those consistent long-term strategies. That's where index funds really shine. See, instead of trying to pick individual stocks, which, let's be honest, it's risky, you're basically putting your money into the whole entire market, or a big chunk of it at least.
And Collins has that example in the book, right, about the S&P 500.
Yes. He talks about how from 1975 to 2015, the S&P 500, which tracks those 500 big U.S. companies, it averaged almost 12% return annually, and that's with dividends reinvested.
Wait, almost 12% every year. That seems way higher than what you normally hear about.
That's the beauty of the long game, right? And this really shows the power of compound growth, which both books talk about.
Which is basically like your money earns money, and then that money earns even more money, that whole snowball thing.
Exactly. Even small amounts, if you invest them consistently, can grow like crazy over time. Like Collins talks about, if you'd put just $12,000 into that S&P 500 back in 1975.
Let me guess, you'd be retired on a beach somewhere. Seriously, though, what would it be worth today?
With that average growth, we're talking over $1 million.
Get out of here. Now, Simple Path doesn't try to hide the downsides, right? He's honest about the risks that come with investing, right?
He is. And he's clear that the market, yeah, it can be up and down in the short term, but over time, it tends to go up. But there's this one risk. So many people, they just don't see it coming.
And it's not even like a market crash.
Nope. Fees. Those sneaky little percentages that fund managers and brokers charge. They can eat away at your returns over time. It's crazy.
They get you with the fine print. And this is where those low-fee index funds come in. They're a game changer, right?
Totally. And this is what I love. When you see both Simple Path and Your Money or Your Life kind of agreeing, they both say, hey, figure out who's really winning here. Are your advisors? Are they looking out for you? Or are they just lining their own pockets,
It's about taking the reins, being in control of your own money. And speaking of control, one thing that really stuck with me from Simple Path is focus on what you can control, like how much you're saving, those pesky fees. And just let go of what you can't control. Like the market's going to do what it's going to do.
Exactly. Shifting that mindset from, oh my gosh, what if it crashes, to, I'm playing the long game. I'm in it to win it.
Long game. That's it. And this takes me back to your money or your life, that question. What would you do if money didn't matter? Whoa, that's a big one.
Right. Makes you think. It forces you to look beyond where you're at right now, the daily grind, and tap into those big dreams. What would truly light you up if money was no problem?
It's like giving yourself permission to dream big. But how do you even start? Especially if those dreams don't exactly fit into the whole 9-to-5 thing.
Well, that's where right livelihood comes in, which Your Money or Your Life digs into. It's about finding work that lights you up, matches your values, what you're passionate about, your purpose, the whole deal.
Which doesn't necessarily mean quitting your job tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
More like gradually making moves to get you closer.
Exactly. Maybe it's a side hustle, or volunteering for something you really care about, or even baby steps towards a whole new career. And this is where that financial security you're building with those index funds, it gives you options. You can take those risks.
So it's like these two books, Simple Path and Your Money or Your Life.
Yeah.
They're like this power couple. One gets your money right, the other gets your life right.
Totally. One builds the foundation, the other helps you build the life you want on top of it.
And it's not about like depriving yourself, being miserable to save. It's about being thoughtful, enjoying what you have, those experiences, not just buying more stuff.
Oh, there's this great line in Your Money or Your Life. It says, waste isn't how much stuff you own. It's not enjoying what you've got.
So true. It's realizing being wealthy isn't just the number in your account. It's how much you're really living.
It's finding that balance, that point where you can say, I have enough. You're financially secure. You can live a meaningful life, and you're not chasing after more all the time.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
That's something to think about. And hey, listeners, these two books, Simple Path to Wealth and Your Money or Your Life, they give you the map, not just to build wealth, but to build a life that means something. A life with purpose, fulfillment, and that sweet, sweet financial freedom.
That's it. This is just the beginning, The real magic happens when you take this stuff and run with it, see what you can create in your own life.